Okay, so here we go. Comment section. All right, everybody, what's going on? Let me see what we got here. Jason, what's going on? All right, so why does it say 0? Let me see something. Live views 29, Convict Inc. Okay, let me shut this down. So I can't hear me. All right, so tonight I have what I consider a special guest. So Johnny Bart. I did time with Johnny back in 1999. That's when we first met. That's when you went to Leavenworth, right?
Yeah, I got there in 90. Yeah, January '99. I started over there.
Okay, and so we did some time in Leavenworth together, and we parted ways. And just recently, he ended up getting a hold of me, and I was really surprised. It was a pleasant surprise at that. So I'm going to go ahead and he's got this. This is a guy who did 27 calendars. What did you do exactly? How many years?
So when I got out of prison on August 30th, I was 6 days short of 27 straight.
Okay. So 27 calendars behind bars. This is straight, you guys. And Johnny's from what part of Mass you from?
I'm from East Boston, Massachusetts. That's it's next to a lot of people in the feds know guys from Charlestown, guys from Southie, but I'm from East Boston, which is about 15 minutes from Charlestown.
I can't say I always say Mass because I can't say the state.
Massachusetts.
I can't say it. It's just one of those. So we got one guy here at Southie. I know he's from Boston. He's in.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do this. Those of you that know me and have been following this channel for a while know that I usually do like chronological order. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start, and I'm going to go with Johnny's background, and I'm going to lead up to the stuff that more people want to hear. So go ahead. So tell me everybody your full name, and then I want to hear about your background. I want to hear about do you have siblings? What was your upbringing like? Two family parent?
Absolutely.
Like, deal. Go ahead.
It'd be a pleasure because that's the best part of my life. So my name's John Bartolomeo. So I grew up in East Boston. It's right next to it's the city where the airport is, and had two siblings, two older brothers, Ronnie and Charlie, and my mother and father, who are Barbara and Charlie. We had a great family, and everybody started calling me Johnny Bart when we started playing hockey because they say I'm a pretty good hockey player. So every time they started yelling my name in the stands, they would go, Bart, and they really couldn't, it's a hard name to pronounce for some people. It's an Italian name. And, even today when people say, they go, Bar, I say, yeah, don't feel bad. I just learned how to pronounce it last week. It's Bartolomeo, so it always gets a chuckle, So it became Johnny Bart, what I'm saying? Because it was easy to say, and my mother hated it because she said, you're not Johnny, you're John, so she hated it. But, it stuck, so it stuck forever. So as I was a kid, that everybody just called me Bart, Bart Simpson, there's a million names that you can think of from Bart. So, I'm an 80s guy, I remember, becoming conscious of who I was in the 80s and looking around in my neighborhood in East Boston. And, what I did was, I realized who I was. I looked around and I thought that's the way it always was. And that's the way it's always going to be. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, especially me, that I made when I was a kid, was I just thought, when I became cognizant of who I was, it was, this is the way it always going to be. This is the way it is. And it's a big mistake because I've learned that the only thing that's constant is change, So in my neighborhood was a predominantly Italian neighborhood, Irish as well. And, funny story about that. My last name is Bartolomeo. And my father was adopted. My grandfather was adopted by the Bartolomeos. And his real name, my grandfather, is Godfrey O'Rourke. So he's about as Irish as they come, So, right. But, my mother, there's a lot of Italian in the rest of my family. So it's a good mix, a European mix of English, Irish, French, and Italian. That's how we
So,
did.
Johnny, in the neighborhood you grew up in, was that like mob controlled? Was there a lot of mob?
Well, I'm saying, yeah, there was a lot of people that, we're in the rackets, and a lot of it is a predominantly Italian neighborhood, and a lot of guys that were, connected and stuff like that. But and I seen it, and I respected it. And my father was a guy that was a hard-working guy, 2 jobs, 3 jobs sometimes, and he used to have these things because he used to hang out with some guys that were connected guys, and he used to say, "John, I ain't bad, but the bad don't fuck with me." So, and that's, my father was a guy with a million sayings, and, and I'm so fortunate to be his kid because, he was a tremendous, tremendous guy. And so when I had seen all of this stuff going on in my neighborhood, my father gave me my first gambling ticket when I was 10 years old. And that might be shocking to some people, but my father always said to me, he goes, "Kid, listen, this is to have fun with your friends. You circle 4 teams, just like the tickets in the joint, right. Rob." So he said, "You circle 4 teams. I'm going to give you $1. If they win, you get $10 back." So I was like, all right. He said, "Listen, this is for your friends, for you and your friends. You have, fun on Saturday and Sunday for college football and pro football." He goes, "The best way to double your money is to fold it and put it in your pocket." It's probably one of the greatest lessons he ever gave me in life. Yeah. So because I'm a gambler, I love to gamble. My friends make fun of me. I bet $1 on a 4-pick. DraftKings probably hates me. You know what I'm saying? I bet $1, $2, and I usually do pretty good, because it's the stingy little bettors that win, right?
Yeah.
So, what I seen in my neighborhood was intriguing to me, of course, but, when I, we had a motorcycle club in my neighborhood called the Trampers, and they were a local East Boston motorcycle club, and I lived next door to a couple, a guy that was in the club, and a crazy story of my childhood. What really was a defining moment in my childhood was that my mother was probably the toughest person in my family, hands-wise. She had a fight with this guy's wife, and it was probably the best fist fight to this day. I've seen a couple of good ones in county jail, but this is probably the best fist fight I've ever seen in my life. And it was my mother and an old lady of a guy that was in a motorcycle club called the Trampers. So I always, and I was the kid that was running around my house going, when I was like 6 years old. My cousin Diane, God rest her soul, she made me a ceramic motorcycle with a guy on it because, I always was running around, trying to pretend I was on a motorcycle. My first bicycle that my father bought me had front and back shocks, but it was a pedal bike, Yeah. So, when I got a little older and had my uncle ran security for a huge nightclub complex in Lynn Saugus area in Massachusetts. So, he had a couple parties there for, guys in the club, the guys around my way, Hell's Angels, that I'm a member of the club. And, I started to see it, and it was very intriguing to me, So, there was a guy that was the head of the club at the time. And, I started getting real close with him, and that's how I got in the club, So, that was the progression that led me to get into the club, And
okay, let me back up a second. So going in like in high school and stuff, what kind of a student were you? I know. So look, we were together probably 3 years. I was in the whole lot. John's he's a very disciplined guy. I'm not. I mean, and I have addiction issues. He doesn't. So I'm wondering, what was your background as far as high school? Were you a sports guy? Did you get in trouble? Did you do? Yeah, you didn't do drugs, never. No drugs.
Well,
never?
I did do drugs. I did do drugs in high school. So that was kind of a springboard. So I played hockey. I played hockey in high school as well, and I guess I was an average hockey player. You know what I'm saying? But in my neighborhood, hockey.
I heard you were good. Yeah.
So we'll let other people talk about if I was a good hockey player or not. I got guys like Mikey Rogers that lived in my neighborhood that was, was a phenomenal standout. There's guys that, was around that area, like guys like Keith Kachuk, who's a professional hockey player. I don't know if he's still a professional hockey player, but I got my friend chiming in saying, "Hey, stop moving the phone, would you?" So,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, I did. I played hockey and I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you got
But what
friends
happened?
that are saying, you got friends. I'm sorry, you got friends that are saying hello. By the way, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I got a tremendous friend. My friend Gio is probably the best guy on the planet Earth, man. He's just, been with me forever. Great guy. I was there when I got out. He's, I'm blessed to have this guy in my life because he's done so much for me. And if you get one like this in your life, that's probably the best thing you're ever going to have in your life. That's the greatest blessing that I have.
Right on. And I'm gonna tell you something, Johnny. He's blessed to have you in his life too, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's an emotional thing for me because everybody always says, man, like you say, you're a disciplined guy. It's easy. You're gonna get through this, but and I both know that even like not violence. I'm saying, I think we can handle ourselves, but anything can happen. Anybody can stab you. Anybody can do anything. You can have a bad day.
Sure.
Somebody's marked to get out of. Marked to get out of a joint. You know what I mean? Like, right. I always had a guy. I always had a guy, Rob, and you probably did too. Like, if things go south in this joint, I'm wrecking this dude. You know what I mean? Because
that's right.
So
that's right.
But So yeah, you can identify with that, and we're younger guys at the time. So I'm a wild kid at the time. I'm not that guy no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm a guy that wants to enjoy life now. You know what I'm saying? And as I told you before about having this collective experience, that, we earned a bunch of badges of honor. You know what I'm saying? And it means something to some people. And we're solid guys. You know what I mean?
So going back to when we were in Leavenworth, so you like late 20s, early 30s, and that was a serious spot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It really was, and it was so we did our time differently. I drowned in myself with drugs. You were a workout beast. I remember seeing you just your transformation for real. That's the truth.
Me and Kessler used to run with no shirt. Everybody being unicorn, looking out the window, seeing the steam roll off us.
In the snow.
30 below zero. The cops were like, "Yeah, we're not opening the yard." We would say, Kessler would say, "We're going around with no shirt. So if you think it's too cold out, we're gonna." And they'll be like, "Okay, well, we'll open the yard for you." So interesting, But looking back on it now, it's crazy. Go ahead.
So just to be clear about the high school days.
Sure. So let me finish. I'm sorry, I got emotional about my friend Gio. He's a good dude. So the high school days is, I continued playing hockey, but I started to get into the drugs a little bit, and it kind of went from there. I kind of started I graduated, but I started skipping out of school. It was kind of my last year. I worked for I was a pro scholar, which means that you help a teacher in your senior year, and I kind of just skated out of there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then from there it was, I experimented with drugs. I took Percocets. I started taking Valiums. I started taking pills. Smoked a lot of angel dust, at that time.
Really?
So, yeah, wow. No doubt.
Okay.
But so the thing is that that progressed up until I actually got into the club. Really, when I got into the club, I made a decision to just not do drugs anymore because I didn't want. It's like me right now. I don't want to do any drugs because I think it'll take away from the experience. You know what I mean, Rob? So in my personal opinion, I feel tremendously blessed. I'm emotional because I feel blessed. I just feel like that I've been given a second chance at life. And when I went back to prison about getting the violence and stuff, but getting sick. How many guys we see get sick? And 6 weeks later, they look terrible, and then they get shipped to some joint that's a medical joint like Devon's or Kentucky or Missouri, and the guy died. Yeah. How many times you heard of it?
A lot.
Countless.
I don't know if you really know this, but I had cancer. I still do. I have reoccurring bladder cancer. But they told me that I was hit, once upon a time when I was at Lewisburg.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right.
ephemerally, I had heard that because you had told me, and then I listened to a couple of your shows when I found out that, you wanted to have me as a guest, and I appreciate you having me too. Thank you.
Right.
And so that's what happened to me. I started to get into drugs, as maybe a teenager into my late teens. And then when I got into the club, I stopped doing drugs, so the club was a good thing for me. But I started to really, really work on, I started to really become like an arch criminal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wanted to, the thing about me, Rob, is I wanted to prove to everybody that I was a tough guy. And I think I proved that to everybody except myself.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it. Yeah. Yeah. What age did you start hanging around or prospecting, however you want to put it? What age?
So I was probably, let me see, 19, I'd say 95, Rob. So 68, 78, 88, 98. I don't know, 26 years old, I started prospecting.
Okay.
And, from there, I was just the type of guy that was like, two things about me. I thought everybody was like me, and I thought, my friends always did better than me, and I made sure of it. You know what I mean? So
how exactly did you you said you lived close by, but how exactly did you find your way into the club the first time? Like how did you get there?
So like I said, my uncle was head of security for a huge nightclub, and that's how I really started to get in touch with the guys.
Okay.
You need me to elaborate a little more? I mean, I don't know.
No. I mean, as much as you want. I was just wondering, like, in your experience, because I've heard different ones, how they actually got there. I mean, you don't need to, I don't want you to put too much out.
No, let me be clear. Listen, Rob, this is my life. This is my story. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, okay. I tell my story the way I want to tell it.
I would like to know, like, how you actually got to that point to where you walked through the doors or you got into the club for the first time. This is the Hells Angels. I mean, this is like the most notorious motorcycle club there is in the world. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, what did it feel like? I want to ask you, and how did you actually get there?
Well, so, I mean, it felt like that. No, this is where I belonged, and to me, it felt like an all-star team. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be on it, and whatever it took to get on it. See, the whole thing with me, Rob, is nobody in the club, nobody in my life, you, my friends, nobody can hold me to a higher standard than I hold myself. Okay. So when it comes to like academics, I hold myself to a higher standard than anybody else could hold me to. And that's what I like to do now. So, and when it comes to being, a tough guy, your expectations paled in comparison to mine.
Yeah. And when it came to you working out, like I said, I distinctly remember you starting the whole workout and just like building with I remember as clear as day. And right. Really, because what I did, we used to do burpees. We'd run a couple laps and we'd sit up in the bleachers and drink while you guys got busy. I mean, that's
right. Well, everybody got their thing, Rob. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their thing. So listen, I'm walking around the city today. Guys like to dress up as girls. That's their thing. Whatever. I'm with it. I mean, if that's what you like, that's what you like.
Yeah, you got to be okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. I'm not mad at you. Right on. So the only thing I know right now is, I guess I could say, is that unorthodoxy kind of rules the day here.
Yeah.
In society. So, and that's cool. The only thing constant is change, Rob.
Somebody just Sin City Detecting said the feds railroaded Johnny for being a stand-up guy.
I appreciate it. You know what I mean?
So,
but I mean, Rob, I murdered a guy and I put a hammer through another guy's head. So, okay. I mean,
I was trying to be, I was like, okay.
I mean, so, let's face it. And, things happened in my life, Rob, where when I lost my brother, I really started to have empathy for the things that I did, and when my brother died, I realized that, my mother was distraught. And I realized as a young guy, I don't care about anything, and I think that a lot of it comes with age. Is that, I realized that I made somebody's mother feel like that. And I wasn't really comfortable with those feelings.
Right. I hear you.
That's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? This is life according to me. And if somebody likes it, they like it. If somebody don't, that's their problem.
Right, because I know that there was beefs going on with clubs and stuff like that. So
yeah, whatever the case, that's a whole other thing for another day. But we'll let that handle itself.
Sure, but basically, what it comes down to is you're saying that at some point you started really thinking about it and feeling remorse. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
In terms of my own, when you project your own feelings onto somebody else because of a life experience that was life altering. I lost my brother who was 39 years old. That's a life altering experience. That's
sure.
When the case manager calls you into the office, like, how it is, Rob, you can't get a call. Nobody's going to give you a call. When the case manager calls you for a call on a Sunday afternoon, it's, you don't even walk to the office. You vibrate in there. Because it's terrible news.
Yeah.
Sure.
So. Yeah.
And that's the realities. That's the realities of doing time. That's the realities of prison. That's the realities of wanting to be a tough guy.
Okay, so the first time you got locked up was on this case? Was on that
That's
case?
it.
Okay, so you end up you were charged originally in the feds with conspiracy. Was it conspiracy to distribute cocaine and meth?
Yeah, it was cocaine and meth. Yep.
Okay.
And what happened? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, was it a wide-ranging conspiracy?
So I think we had 17 guys. Somebody can call in and tell 17, 18, 16 guys in our indictment. But what happened is the feds gave me a memorandum saying that, they're going to charge me for murder in the aid of racketeering and attempted murder and maiming in the aid of racketeering. That's the only the feds don't have a murder statute, right? They have to attach it to something. So RICO, so they threatened me with that. And they said that if I took 35 years and they listed all the names of the people, and they said these people won't have to come back that already pled out and they won't have to testify before a grand jury. And the people that didn't get in trouble yet, they're not going to get in trouble, but you got to take 35 years. So I had a member come up to see me and he was like, Johnny, we'll get you lawyers. We'll have, whatever the case may be, is we'll raise the funds. And I'm like, that's all right, I'll take it. Why let everybody else get in trouble? And that's how I did it. I mean, it's not no success story after I did it, but I did it. I mean, everybody who knows me knows how I did it. So, and
okay, so
go ahead.
When you originally got, did you get arrested on the drug case first or the other charges?
Yeah, well, I got indicted on the cocaine. They took us in on the cocaine. I mean, on the methamphetamine, excuse me. They took us in on meth, superseded us on the coke, and gave me the memorandum saying that, hey, we're going to charge you with the murder in the aid of racketeering and the maiming against those two other rival club members.
Okay, how long did you stay fighting that case? How long were you in county jail?
I got to Leavenworth in 99. So I got arrested September 5th, 1996. The 27-year anniversary just passed.
Oh yeah, never forget that day, right?
Sure.
Never forget the day you get arrested.
Or the day you get out.
Okay, so tell me. So you spent basically 3 years in pretrial.
Right.
Describe what it was like your first day or walking or finding out. When did you find out you're going to Leavenworth?
So they got me out of. So what happened was I was in Wyatt Detention Facility in Central Falls, Rhode Island, and when I came to jail, Rob, I was a wild kid. I got this case I just looked at, and I was writing. So I'm writing a book. I wrote it. I just got to really transcribe it. You know what I'm saying? So I talked about that. Like within the first couple months, I got locked up for starting a group demonstration, starting a riot. There was some kids there from South Bay. And that was a county joint, but this was a private facility ran by Cornell Corrections, Wyatt Detention Facility, and they had pretrial detainees, federal and county together. So I went to go use the phone, And I had the phone in my hand, and one of these kids from Suffolk County, he said, "No, I'm using that phone. Watch out." And I was like, no, I got the phone in my hand, my man. He's like, "No, that's my phone." So I said, "I'll fucking smash you in your face with this fucking phone." You know what I mean? Like I was a young kid. Like I didn't, nothing about this was somebody's phone, and I tried to rip it off the wall. And then one of my guys that was there with me seen the action, and I seen him move. So I just punched the kid in the face because I didn't want, I just wanted to get the first jump because I seen kind of that it was too late, so it was kind of a funny story. Just, you're so hyper cognizant in prison. That's why I have all these vivid memories, Rob, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is that, you have a lot of vivid memories because you're on heightened alert all the time, So I remember that, listen, the best thing we ever did, it's hilarious now in hindsight, right? They say that which is bitter to endure will be sweet to remember, right? So doing all the time it's a difficult task, right? It's almost untenable at times. And hence the reason why, you turn to drugs. We all turn to something, I turn to getting up at 4:30 in the morning and abusing myself and telling myself I got to suffer every day. This is the only way I'm going to get through this. So we all have devices we use. So we all have devices that we use, And so I remember one time, I'll never forget the cop's name too. It was in Wyatt, Anuevo, A-N-N Anuevo. He was like, I forget what he was, kind of, Oriental. And he said, "Hey, you guys got to go back in." I'm like, "Wait a minute. We didn't even get all of our rec. We still got 15 minutes. He goes, "No, you got to get in." So I started yelling through the vents that, "Hey, listen, fuck this guy. He ain't doing this to us." So, and it was the most unity I ever seen in a jail anywhere. Everybody got sheets and started stuffing them in the toilets and had water up to their knees. And, me and a couple of my co-defendants that were there, and I haven't talked to nobody, so I don't really want to mention anybody's name. My man Gio, I know I can mention his name because, that's just, me and him's me and him, you know what I'm saying? But anybody else, I don't want to mention anybody's name, but we were all there together. And, listen, I don't know if it was my co-defendant or me. I believe it was me or my co-defendant gave a signal, and everybody let the water out at the same time. When the cop came into the middle of the unit, he was like, "It's quiet." He looked up, and the water came from every single cell, Rob. It was sick. It was the sickest thing. And so, and as I was writing about this, and when I write this book, when I was writing this, my last couple of months, I wrote about 700 pages, So when I was writing about it, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I filed on Wyatt for, transferring me unconstitutionally, and they came back with their reasons, like these 13 or 14 shots that I got from everything but taking hostages. They say, like, they called the marshal 6 times, and I didn't know all this stuff. And so I got that case, and, it lends credence to what happened. But people that were there with me know what happened. Everybody knows, you know what I'm saying? I might tell a good story, but I don't spin a tale. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. By the way, Finn Freak, he's 55 years old. You're 55, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be 55 September 29th.
Oh, okay. So 54 and a half, 54 and
54 in a couple days.
Right. Okay. So bring me to the day you found out you were going to Leavenworth, and then when you walked into Leavenworth, how you felt.
Right. All right. Yep.
I experienced it too. That's why.
Momentous time. So what I'm saying? Vivid. So what happened is they got me out of Plymouth because they had transferred me from Wyatt finally, and I went to Plymouth. So they called me down to Plymouth, and I kind of knew it was for the transfer. You know what I'm saying? I know there was no more court dates. I know they put my paperwork in to go. So my case now, the people that are listening from Boston know about the McCormick building. That was the courthouse when we caught our case. Now it's the one courthouse way. It's a beautiful court complex. It's amazing. And so in the time that I was in pretrial, they had made, one courthouse way. That's how federal court in Boston functional. And that's where they took me to get transferred, because you go to the federal building, bring everybody together, and then they take you on a bus up to New Hampshire to airlift you. So I remember the marshal coming around saying, "Hey, you're going to Leavenworth." Other guys are going like to camps, and other guys, saying, you know, they're going to Lowe's, they're doing this, they're doing that, you know. So I asked the guy, I said, yo, how's Leavenworth? And they're like, yeah, well, you know, it's a penitentiary, you know. And I'm like, oh, all right. So, you know, so I kind of braced myself for what was going to happen, but, you know, I didn't care. And I'm saying, I'm a young kid, Rob. I'm saying, you know, you know, whatever you got, again, you know, the expectations on myself, if I'm going to do this, that I'm going to do it, you know.
Yeah.
School of hard knocks. Let's do it, right. You know.
Go to the biggest and the baddest, the most notorious, you know, like badge of honor shit. I get it.
Right. So I remember I was going through, you know, well, and here's a slap in the face. I was going through Oklahoma City. You know, you got to go to Oklahoma City to go to Leavenworth. And for people that don't know, that's a transfer center where the feds take you. It's a big airport, and everybody waits there to go to their designated institution. So I remember being there. And it was like the holidays, you know, it was close to Thanksgiving. And, you know, remember I told you I got there in January, but one of the cops, I was asking one of the counselors, like, hey, you know, when am I leaving to go to Leavenworth? Excuse me. And he said, oh, Leavenworth's locked down. There was 2 murders over there and nobody's leaving, nobody's coming, nobody's going. And I was like, all right, sounds about right, you know. So that's how I learned about, you know, what Leavenworth was about. A couple of gangs got into it over there. A couple of Puerto Rican gangs got into it over there.
I think that was the Texas Syndicate on the Latin Kings, if I'm not.
It's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it was. Yep. Yeah. Just before I got there. Yeah.
Oh boy, that was oh man. But go ahead. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah. So there was. Remember, there was what I heard was there was simultaneous hits in rec and in every block.
Every unit, maybe one
simultaneously.
It was
right.
It was either 9 o'clock fill call or
right.
And it was,
I heard about it.
Look, I mean, I was in B lower, and they took the brunt of it. The Kings in there, and I'll never forget. There was a syndicate. They came out with knives taped to their hands, and it just walked in. I mean, it was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath.
That was the MA, right? Was it MA or?
So there was it was
there was no TS there at the time. You said syndicate, so I just want to make a correction. There was no TS there at the time.
Yes, it was.
I think it was.
Oh man, I've got it written down somewhere.
Actually. Whatever it is. So I mean, for lack of a better term, I know it was. I believe it was two Hispanic gangs. Yes, that's what I think it was. But I know it wasn't. TS wasn't on the yard.
But it was. Yes.
They said that the cops were running. The cops were, you know, emergency in below were running there. Then emergency in 3rd floor rec. Emergency in A3, A2, A1. They were like the Keystone Cops. They didn't know where to go, you know.
Yeah.
So I heard that. I wasn't there at the time.
You know who I was in the cell with? Boston Billy.
Oh, Billy. Yeah, Billy.
I was.
Yeah, he's a handful, Billy.
He's a good.
He's a handful. He's a handful.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's who showed me around when I first got there. Billy showed me around the track and stuff. So getting into Leavenworth when I first get there, when I finally do get there, I remember there was this, I'll say his name because he was a dear friend of mine and I love him to death. He's a 52nd Hoover Crip. His name is Kevin Bishop. And this kid had the long beard, right? The long ponytail in the back. I love this guy. I tried to reach out to him a few times. I can't find him anywhere. But I seen him doing pull-ups off a pipe. And I was like, you know, the kid was just a big, tall, solid kid.
Was he from LA? Was he from LA?
Yeah, I think he was from, is it 52nd and Hoover?
Okay.
I don't know. Bam. His name was Bam.
Yeah. Do you remember Wayne? Big Wayne?
Yeah, I remember the name, but I don't remember his face. There was Debo. There was a few of them there that I knew, you know, because I was close with him.
Rolling 60s. So
some of them guys.
So he would know. I talked to him, so he would know. I can ask him about that guy for you.
Please, So I ended up becoming real close friends with him. And he's, you know, just a tremendous good dude, man. You know what I'm saying? Good dude. In jail, you know, it's hard to find, you know, dudes that have some substance with them. You know what I'm saying? And so when I walked in the deal, there was a couple Charlestown guys. You know, I'll mention this guy's name because he's a dear friend of Tommy Bartello. You know, he come over, Johnny, you know, he's from Rhode Island. Great dude. We had so much fun. And It's crazy we have fun in jail, but we did, you know. And I always say,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
we laugh to keep from crying. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody, you know, took care of
Yeah.
me. They gave me, and the first thing they said, Rob, was something that's foreign today that nobody will understand. My friend took me around and he goes, "Hey, listen, you know, we know about your case. We read about it in the USA Today. There was something in the USA Today about it. We heard about it, you know, from in the Boston Herald. We know about you, but come with me." They took me to the case manager's office and they said, he needs his PSI. And she goes, "Okay, what's your name and number?" And they gave you the PSI at mail call that night. You know, your PSI tells you, you know, if you cooperated, what type of guy you are, prior cases, if you cooperated in anything. Now, to give you an idea how the prison system has changed dramatically, that's against the rules to get that. And you can get in trouble for actually having that now.
That's right. Yep.
So, but you could get yours from the case manager when I first there. So I got mine, and you know, I mean, and you know, you got that's the passport. You know,
Yeah.
if you got good paperwork, you're good anywhere. I mean, you know.
Okay. That. So I'm gonna. I said something to you. I want to bring that up. So
Sure.
when you came in, there was uh, there was like kind of I'm not going to say issue as far as like, oh, what's going on, but there was an issue with uh, the body situation, right?
The what?
Meaning the issue with the body, wasn't there an issue as far as your paperwork? Your paperwork was
Right.
good, but
Right.
but wasn't there an issue because
So,
somebody?
so yeah, I mean, it was never an issue. It was
Right.
just that.
That's
So
what
I
I'm
never
saying.
got in. So I got an upward departure for the violence. Everybody said, "How'd you go to camp with a murder? How'd you get IDAP with a murder?" So the way that my case went is when I pled out to save myself from going to trial and to help out my friends, and you know, made sure that nobody had to come back, nobody got indicted. I just took everything. So as part of that, with the government, the deal that I made with the government, of course, the deal wasn't anything about, you know, I mean, I don't even have to say it, but
It wasn't a
cooperating or anything like
cooperation
that.
deal.
No,
It
I'm
was
saying, of
not.
course
Yeah.
not. I'm saying anybody that knows who I am, people that don't know who I am know who I am. But
Sure.
so what it was they gave me something called a preponderance of the evidence. A judge doesn't find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and I was never indicted for it. But the judge can say, you know, you're responsible for so many kilos of cocaine, you're responsible for so many kilos of methamphetamine, and I believe, although you weren't indicted for this and you weren't found guilty by a jury of peers, I believe, due to a preponderance of the evidence, it's an evidence standard, that you committed this violent act, and I'm giving you more time on your sentence. So that's how we got to the 30 years, the
Right.
35 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
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 So I never had no violence on my record. I mean, I've had, you know, violence in prison, of course, but I never had any violence on my case, and that's how I got to reap the benefits of, you know, a
So
little bit of an early release. Go ahead.
did they ever bring that up at team or anything and try to give you like you had violence on your case by looking at that? I know guys that never got charged with bodies, but they would say, "Oh, you had violence in your case." And
Right.
you know, I used to. I mean, I did a lot of jailhouse lawyer work, so I
Right.
ran across a lot of that. Did you ever have any
Sure.
problems with that?
So when I was getting designated to my first camp, my first case manager, McHugh, I was in Danbury, sweetheart of a guy. You know, he would do anything he could for you. Very, you know, just a decent dude. You know what I'm saying? And he called me up to his office and he said, "Hey, listen, they're talking about this vehicular homicide. They can't see where it's been adjudicated." And I'm like, "McHugh, you've got to tell them, you know, that it was charged in my, you know, I got time for it due to a preponderance of the evidence." What ended up happening was when I went back into his office, they had given me the camp because they had seen that it was adjudicated. So not really, you know what I'm saying? I never really had an issue insofar as, you know, trying to forfeit the good time that I had or anything like that. So no, but you know, there was a couple bumps in the road where somebody
Yeah.
might have misinterpreted it. But you know, it was never indicted, and I was never found guilty of it.
Okay. Yeah. I just want. We'll see it. Uh, so this guy was asking, were you an HA from Lynn or Lowell? I don't know what that means.
I'm from Lynn. I'm from Lynn. I'm a Salem agent.
Okay. All right. Um, okay. So how long were you at Leavenworth for? How long? When did you leave there?
So I left in Let me see. 2003, so 4 years approximately.
Okay. And that's, you were working your way down?
Yeah, I went to a media.
Okay, so I got to back up because I can't leave Leavenworth without you. You hung around.
Oh, you want to talk about you being a crazy guy?
You hung. Well, oh no. Okay,
that's a whole other story. Oh, you want to talk about Kessler, the most dangerous guy in the federal prison system?
Come on, let's toot my horn first, okay?
Okay, so you remember that day, right? So I mean, we had that in common. So
yeah.
There's something called shot line when we go into the chow hall when nobody else is eating, just the workers. So you worked in the kitchen as well, right? Were you working in the kitchen there?
Yes.
I used to do the butter and jelly.
I was a napkin.
Oh, you were the napkin guy. Yeah, you had an easier job than I did. Right. So, if that's possible.
Yeah.
But so we used to go and we take advantage of it. We go work out, do whatever we did, and then me and usually Kessler. I don't know if he was in there with me that day or not, but so we used to go early into chow, get chow, and then I'd go in the back, do my thing. Pop would help me bring a couple onions, couple tomatoes out for myself. He said, if you're taking stuff for yourself, that's a bonus of working in the kitchen. You could take it. And he'd help me take it. But so one morning I'm sitting there and you always know how to interpret your environment after being in jail for a little while. You know what I'm saying? So I felt something was amiss that day. And I seen you. Was it Dusty? Were you with Dusty? Can we say Dusty's name?
It was me and Dusty, yeah.
And can I talk about Dusty for a minute? Because everybody liked Dusty. Dusty was a respected guy. Dusty was at NLR too, right?
But he ended up. So the NLRs weren't big in the feds at that time.
Right.
They really weren't anything in the feds. So he was running with the Dirty White Boys. So he patched up DW.
Doing an interview right now.
So he patched up Dirty White Boy, and that's the reason I ended up patching up Dirty White Boy, was because of Dusty.
Yeah. Pachillo. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Go ahead, Rob.
Was that a counselor?
No. Some guy wanted it. My friend's been looking to get in touch with me over here. He works outside here. A kid I know my whole life. He's a good kid. He wants to hook up with me.
Yeah,
say hello.
What I was saying is, so the NLRs really didn't come into the system and make a name for themselves as a gang. There was members from California, but they didn't have a gang going at that time.
Right.
Dusty patched up Dirty White. He was running with the Dirty White Boys.
I know that. I know that.
Yeah. He patched up DWB, and that's really the only reason I did, was because I was with Dusty all the time.
Yeah.
That's when I kind of followed suit. But it was me and Dusty. Yes, you can talk about it for
sure. So what happened was that day was, unbeknownst to me, I don't know. And to tell you the truth, Rob, we really weren't like close friends. Or we know who each other were, and we know who we run with. We know the order in which things move over there. But we're much closer now than we were when we were in prison. But we know of each other, and I don't think either one of us has a bad thing to say about each other. Just that we were solid guys and we did time together.
Yeah, and I've openly admitted that I went to prison and I never used a needle before I went to prison.
Right.
I became a dope.
Right.
I mean, that's what it was. So I'm not, it's okay to say.
Not my circle. Not my circle.
Yes. Right. But
so what happened is I was in the chow hall one day for that shot line, and I remember you coming in. I remember you, but I had my head down and I was eating, and then I remember you. Starting to move and starting to talk to Dusty, and I could see there was something that was amiss, and then I remember he was wrecking some guy, and so the thing is me, I never want to draw a bead to anybody, so I just kept my head down and eat. I know what's going on now. I mean, you can't put a skirt on this anymore, But boom, 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 tables are moving, and I'm just eating. And I remember a big glob of blood fell onto my tray, and I was like, well, I think the cat's out of the bag now. No more eating, no more nothing. I'm just gonna kind of go over to the side over here, So yeah, you smash somebody, and well, after the blood went on the tray, I was like, well, the eating's over now, I kind of drew the line at the blood.
Hey, and by the way, that meal, it was meatloaf.
Yeah, well, there wasn't the sauce on top. I know it was blood.
So just a little backstory there. So there was the guy who was the actual. And by the way, I'm friends with that guy now.
Who was it?
Rusty. Rusty.
Oh yeah, fucking Rusty.
Remember me saying, "Merry
That's funny.
Christmas, Rusty"? That's
Yeah, that's funny. I don't remember that, but me and you both vividly remember the day. I'm gonna take this phone and get some fucking water. I'm thirsty.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, come on, I'm with you. I just had my phone on the charger.
What happens is we're walking before we go into the chow hall. We're walking laps, and my dude Dusty, the guy we hit was a guy named Rusty. Long story, it doesn't really matter, but we're walking, and Dusty's like, "Whatever you do, stay away from his temple. Don't hit him in the head. Don't hit him in the head. I don't want to do life sentence with you, Rob.
Don't get a murder beef.
Yeah, don't kill him. I'm not trying to get a murder beef and stay here with you." That's what he's telling me.
Right. Good advice.
Dusty hits him first, and he falls. Yeah, he falls, and every kick that I kicked that guy was straight in the head. It was like every kick. It's like I couldn't get away from his temple.
Precisely what we didn't want to do, Rob.
I mean, it was a vicious assault. I mean, you look at.
Yeah, it was. There's no question about it. The guy got wrecked.
That guy reached out. He reached out to me when I filed my compassionate release brief, and I've been up to visit him. Me and my wife went to stay the night up there and everything, And so it's a long story, but he was in the wrong, and he knows he was in the wrong. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah,
those things don't happen in a vacuum.
Right. So I mean, I talked to him yesterday. As a matter of fact.
Send my best.
But yeah. I will. Yeah, he'll for sure.
I think
he'll remember you, for sure. And Eddie Cox. Remember?
I'd like to think I'm hard to forget. Who?
Eddie Cox, the old guy.
Yeah, I remember. I remember Eddie Cox. That he used to work in the kitchen, the bakery, right? Did he skinny guy?
Yes,
no, that was somebody else.
Actually, he was a skinny guy. He used to work in the back room.
I remember him.
He was a clerk.
I remember. Right, I definitely remember. He was from Kansas City, right? Kansas City guy.
He was the boss of the Black Mafia.
I definitely know who he was. 1,000%.
Yeah. So they've got a paralegal service, I guess, if you will, doing fantastic.
Speaking of paralegal services,
I got you plugged. Go ahead.
Go.
So I'm gonna put links to all that stuff. By the way, right before we came on, there was I know everybody said you always have an excuse, Rob. Right before we came on, I thought we weren't going to get on because
right. You sent me that link. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I just got out of jail 25 minutes ago. How do I do this? Right. Come on. So, but we got it together miraculously.
You don't know if the next pill you get. Okay. So what is the name of the consulting company you're going to be working for?
It's Prison School, right? It's Bobby Ida is a friend of mine. We got introduced through a mutual friend who is a dear friend of mine. He knows who he is. Guy's more of a convict, and he was a lawyer on the street. You know what I'm saying? He's like highly educated, more of a convict than any convict I ever met in my life. Great guy, but we're gonna leave him unnamed. And he's a dynamite guy. He knows who he is. I love him. So Bobby Ida is a Lebanese guy who I've been getting to know. Is just a phenomenal dude, and we've been having a lot of fun going back and forth. And what he's doing is he has this. It's a prison consulting firm, and I'm working for him. We've got a couple of guys that've been in prison for a long time. We got so many years of experience, and I think the only thing I'm an expert at, Rob, is doing time. So,
right.
So I mean, that's what we're doing, and he's at the head of it all, and he's doing a great job, and I think we can help a lot of people that want to get taken care of. Anybody that needs advice about prison, anything about commissary, there's a million things that you have to navigate when you come to jail, and I think there's nobody better qualified than me and the guys that we have working. We got Jimmy Demore is working with us. You know who Jimmy Demore is? So Jimmy Demore, if I'm not mistaken, he's a political guy from Ohio, and he got the most time in the history of the United States. I believe he got the most time in the history of the United States for a political crime, and he just got out on compassionate release.
Wow.
Bust Jimmy's balls all the time. He was in the low. He was in Elkton. He's an Ohio politician, political figure. great dude. And, great dude with me. And he's got a lot of experience. He spent a lot of time in prison. And so, yeah, so that's my thing. I'm going to try to, do something with that and, see if we can, make that. I told you before about this. We have a collective experience here. And, we're trying to make it profitable. I think, there's people have there's a lot of thirst for this content, and rightly so. I mean, why watch a reality TV show, that's scripted, or a show on TV that's scripted? This is real life. This is an experience that nobody can tell you better than. I'm sure people can tell it as good as me, but I think I can tell it pretty good. And when you're in these,
very well, yes, you can.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But so that's what we're trying to do, and that's Prison School is our consulting firm, and if anybody needs any help, they can reach out. We're going to have the link up there, and if anybody wants to get in touch with me, my Instagram page is on there, and it's.
I'm gonna put that on the community page and the description of this. I've got it. I will take care of that. I've got the links on.
Right.
Like I said, it took a half an hour to even get on, but go ahead.
What I have to say. So you talk about your wife, right, Rob? The person you had a relationship. I was married twice in prison and divorced twice in prison. It's a crazy story. And my ex-wife now, she's my best friend, Natalie. I love her. She's done so much for me. Tremendous human being. What the women that are involved with? No, I mean they're involved with solid guys. They like solid guys, and people are so perplexed by the dynamic of a relationship of people in jail. And to me, it's really not so perplexing. I'm saying there's a lot of people on the street that the opinion of women they're really not worth much. You know what I'm saying? They like solid guys. They like bad boys. And at some point in life, bad boys go straight. So it's a complete package if you stay with a guy long enough, right? So so the thing is that Natalie is my, she's a dear friend of mine. I love her to death. She traveled to every jail in the country, got thrown out of visiting rooms. So, she definitely deserves to be mentioned in this forum because she's one of the people that, has, been through a lot with me. I've been through, most of this with me. And she's more of a soldier than, half of the guys I was with, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate her, and I just want her to know that.
Oh no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you did that. So on that topic, I'll be honest. I had my second wife. I don't think we went to bed, but slept. But I call her the second person I married was a pen pal, right. And she was doing time, and I was doing time, and we got together, and it was a match made in hell. It was a match made in hell. This one, she's still my wife. Marta was a studying psychology student. Never done drugs, sheltered life. Real good girl, real good solid girl, right?
Right.
I never wanted to fall in love and be in love with nobody in prison. I did not,
Right. Those things just take a life of their own.
It did, and I tell you what, it was to me it was like harder time. I don't know if it was better for you, easy.
Mine is the reverse, but go ahead.
No, I was just wondering how you felt. I don't regret it. I mean, listen, where I'm at right now, as far as us not being together, if we're going to get divorced, whatever, that's on me. It's not on her.
Right.
She done everything right. It's not me.
Right.
But
I say the same thing.
I'm just saying that my time at sea did get harder. I don't know for me,
So with me, I didn't even realize I was in prison until she first came to visit me. So when she first came in the visiting room, right, I was looking for the microphones, right, because she had to be the cops. There was no other explanation for it. I mean, she was drop dead gorgeous. I couldn't make a dream girl better than her. You know what I'm saying? Perfect, like my type, tiny, just amazing. Everything I like, in a woman. And she was nice. We had a blast. She was just a great person. And we talked for like 20 minutes, and the whole weekend was over. I remember the first thing I said to her, because I was in Lee County at the time, Lee County Penitentiary, and you had to get stripped out going into the visit. So I used to just put my socks in my back pocket. And I remember seeing her sitting there at the table, and she smelled like money. She had like, probably about $7,000 worth of clothes, shoes. She was amazing. And I sat down, and the first thing I could muster out of my mouth was, I forgot my socks. That's the first thing I said to her. That's how our relationship started.
Johnny, do you got a Cash App yet?
So I don't, because I need a picture ID. So.
Okay, somebody's trying to send you money. That's all.
Yeah, I don't. And what they can do is, I mean, if they can hold off, I mean, I try not to pander for people for money, but if they want to give it to me and they believe I deserve it, listen, I'm just getting out of prison after 27 years, so I can use it. So, I mean, I'm sure we can make arrangements. We'll try to make arrangements, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of minutes if anybody can make arrangements for it.
So, I mean, you don't have any way to send money to you right now?
So no, because I need a picture ID. So.
Okay,
to start a Venmo, to start a Cash App. I tried to, but I got
big dog. Listen, I'll both. So if you tell me what your Cash App is, send it to Hartford Holdings, HARTFORD, Hartford Holdings, and I'll give him whatever you sent. Will go straight to him. Okay. So you got that. Just make sure.
That's fine. Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, I got you. I know exactly what to do.
1,000%.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, go ahead.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And so. When I first met Natalie, it was like, bro, it was the sickest thing in the whole world. I knew I was really in love, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I had nice sunglasses. I forgot them in the yard. I'd, come out, go out with my radio, walk around, come back, and I'm like, what's my radio? You know what I'm saying? Like, my head was in, for lack of a better term, in the clouds. You know what I'm saying? And so I really realized I was doing time, because for the first time in my life, I really wanted to be with somebody, like to hang out, to have and when we got together on visits, it was like she would come up for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because that's how they had it set up over there, not during the weekdays, because it was so it was on the tip of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia. So, we talked for 20 minutes and then the weekend would be over, you know what I'm saying? So crazy. Somebody wants to know why I'm ignoring their text. I'm doing an interview. So, so I mean, she's a tremendous person. So, and I mean, as I walk around town now and I see people, I met a girl named Brianna today in a bank, and she helped me with my account, and it really gave me a lot of hope, because a lot of people, I mean, it's like I talk about we have these perceptions about how life should be, how it was before. So she's a young girl. She's amazing looking person. She's beautiful. She had these nice shoes on today, size 6.5 foot. I knocked her foot size off. I think that shook her a little bit. I don't know, but she's 23, so she's a young kid, and she has a boyfriend, and she's a real nice kid, and she's a beautiful kid. But it's just nice getting back into society and being around women and saying hello. I mean, 27 years of swinging dicks is just too much for one guy. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, so it's nice to be back and seeing women walking around Boston and just seeing all the students. Northeastern University is right here. Wentworth is right here. It's a hub of activity, and it's nice just to see, things are different. The styles have changed a little bit, and people have changed, and I guess the dynamic of society has changed. And, but I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who am I? It beats the shit out of the alternative, prison or death. You know what I mean? I'll take this. I like it.
So what happened with the relationship, if you don't mind me asking?
So, I mean, I think she divorced me the first time. It's me, like you say, Rob. You know what I'm saying? I can't blame anything on her. She didn't do anything that would have, caused me to divorce her. I mean, I got mad at her the second time about certain things. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'll take the blame for everything, because she's a sweetheart. To do what she did for so long. Rob, she spent, thousands of dollars, thousands of hours. I mean, there's no price for that, So she's just a tremendous person. And what happened is we just, we kind of grew apart. And I take the blame for it. But, she's my friend. And, whatever the case may be with her is that, she's my friend. And we're just, listen, she's better as my friend. You know what I'm saying? And we're good together as friends, And, so I think, that going forward as friends, we're going to enjoy each other's company, She's a great kid. I love her. So
Yeah.
that's about the, the synopsis I can give you with that. Because we're in
Yeah.
contact with friends and,
Yeah. I
Go ahead,
remember
we're doing our
the
thing.
visits the visits you got them on every weekend. I'd get them once a year, twice a year and stuff. And they were
Right.
just
She
fucking
come up a lot,
everything.
man. She come up and she come
Everything.
up, I mean, travel everywhere,
Yeah. Okay, so
great
let's
kid.
go back. So you were friends with the guy named Kessler.
Steve Kessler, my main man. I read a lot about him. I said in my book that this should be a book about Kessler, not about me. So when I first get to Leavenworth, Boston Billy says, "See that guy right there? He was walking with Beacons. I don't know if you remember Beacons. You remember Beacons? That was his
Oh
homeboy from
yeah,
Oregon
Beacon's furniture.
with the glasses. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Beacon's moving. Beacon's moving. So I guess Kessler said that was a big thing over there. So
Yes.
he said, "You see that guy right there? He's the most dangerous guy on the yard." And I was like, interesting. All right. I just, I know looks can be deceiving, but he was a guy with gray hair. He was about 56, 57 at the time. He passed away now. I don't know if you know that, but he was in Oregon State Penitentiary, and they transferred him back there. They gave him a parole. Yeah, so he's dead now. But yeah, so the thing with Kessler was he had this partner over there doing the ticket, and I don't know. He liked something about me, not my haircut, because I had long hair and the shaved on the sides. He was like, "What kind of a goddamn haircut is that?" After we got close, So Kessler, he was just a cantankerous old guy sometimes. But he taught me more about life and about prison than any other single person in my life. And Kessler was great. So we had the ticket, and he took me into a counselor's office. He said, "Listen, all I need you for." His partner went to the hole and he said, "Listen, you're going to do the ticket with me. I'm going to show you everything there is to do." So I was like, I used to do this stuff on the street, blah, blah, blah. You know about tickets. He was like, "Okay, good, even better." So he showed me how to do everything. He said, "Listen, if we need money, just get us the money. That's it. And then we'll get it back and we'll pay whoever back." I was like, "Yeah, cool, And, Kessler's reputation preceded him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was trying to pull a move. And, this was probably one of the most respected guys in the federal prison system at the time. Forget about Leavenworth, you know what I mean? So his reputation preceded him, it preceded him. And so I said, "Yeah, whatever, we'll bang it out, So one time we needed money. I think he wanted me to get $1,000 from my father. So we went down to A1. There was a counselor in A1. I don't forget who it was. He stopped me at the door. He said, "Hey, listen," Kessler said, "go in this office. The guy's going to give you the phone. Nobody's going to talk to nobody. You're going to get on the phone. You're going to talk to your father. Talk to your father like the counselor wasn't even there. Don't worry about it." I said, "All right." So I got on the phone. I said, "Dad, listen, we need a Gino." And my father's like, "All right, kid." My father never questioned me about anything. He knows who I am. He knows how I am. If somebody else's father would have been, "Are you okay? Are you doing drugs?" My father was like, "Yeah, kid, I got you. Don't worry about it." And so, a couple of days it was there. And Kessler, what he did was when he got the money and we started making our money back, we had a couple good weekends. Unbeknownst to me, he had my father's address and he sent my father $1,500. We got $1,000 from my father. And he sent my father $1,500. My father said, "Yo, this guy's a top shelf guy." So that became Kessler's code name for the rest of our bid, and the rest of everything was top shelf. When my father said top shelf, he was talking about Kessler. So what happened with that 500 is Kessler sent my father a letter, said, "Mr. B," he goes, "thank you for the 1,000. I'm including an extra 500. Take the missus out for a bottle of wine on Odd Line." That was our ticket name, right? Odd Line. So my father must have gave the guy about 25 grand after that. In the newspapers, USA Today for the year, any book he ever wanted, anything. Kessler had got carte blanche for that 500. So, so we just moved that way. It was just ended up being me and Kessler, and I'm sure everybody in the jail was like, "Who is this kid? Why is he hanging with this guy? What is this significance of this guy?" And I took it as a badge of honor. I liked Kessler. I loved Kessler. He was a great dude. There's some things I talk about in my book that are funny about the thing. I got him in trouble a couple of times, taking him outside to handle a situation that we needed him for, But there was one time, it was the most amazing thing that happened in prison. So I don't know if you remember this or not, but there was a Spanish gang came in that was just got on the yard, and they needed some tables for themselves, And so they sat at the front tables in our section, you know. And I was mad. I was upset about it. I was like, "Yo, who are these people?" Paulie Martin's like, "Hey, listen, John, don't worry about it. Come on." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. What are you talking about? They're sitting in our tables. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And I got really, let's just relax. And then I seen Kessler at lunch. As soon as he sat down, he started eating. I'm like, "Yo," he's like, "You know what the thing about you is?" He goes, "You could never be quiet. Like, can't you just enjoy the silence? I just want to enjoy my burger and fries." So, make a long story short, that night he called the troops together and called me down there and he said, "Hey, come down to the chow hall." Everybody from Boston there, everybody had plastic knives, everybody, because we were going through a metal detector over there, like 6 of them to get to the chow hall. If you were in B block, you went through like 4 metal detectors. A block was like 4, I think, too. So there was really one, but if you came from those blocks in the back, right, you came through a few more. So anyway, we get to the chow hall and I'm just like, "Yo, what's up? What are we doing?" You know, and he's like, "Hold on," you know. So he starts talking to a few people. He goes, "Take a walk with me." So I never forget, there was 2 empty chairs, and these guys were sitting at this table. They thought they were going to commandeer. And Kessler said, "Hey," and there was like a guy standing guard there, like real prison dramatic shit. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Hey, you mind if we sit down for a second?" So we sat down. I said, "Yeah, go ahead." So we sat down, and I'm just listening to Kessler. I have no idea what he's going to say. I have no idea what's going on. I know that, we're armed. I'm not. Kessler's not, but everybody around us is.
Right.
So he just said, "Hey, listen, you guys, listen, hey, listen, welcome. And believe me, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a table. If my friends were coming and we didn't have a table, I'd do the same exact thing. So listen, I hear you." He said, "But I just want to let you guys know before I leave tonight that there's people in this chow hall that are willing to die for this table. So you guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you later." And nobody ever sat there again, ever again. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was the end of that story. That's what too. So, my headphones are going dead on me. I got to try to put this other one in. I'm trying to
So
charge it one
Kessler,
at a time.
for people that don't know who he was, what was his claim to fame, so to speak, or what was he notorious about?
So they said that he was feared by the most dangerous prison gangs in the federal system. That they feared him, and they didn't want to. They wanted to try to recruit him. He had to kill the guy escaping from Rocky Butte jail, and that's how he ended up coming to the feds. He escaped from some of the most dangerous prisoners to the feds, and that's what happened on the interstate compact.
Your sound's going out. Your sound's going out. Why?
Okay. So
okay,
what I'm
there's
going to do is, can you hear me now?
That's bad again.
Okay. Let me see if I can do this. I think my headphone was really dying on me. That might be what it is. Yeah, it's going up. So
there you go. Now you're good.
You got now. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just keep this open. I'll keep this here. So
Bad.
Okay.
It's bad again.
Okay. What about that? So let me see if I can just. I don't know if I can put this.
So what is it?
If my headphones are going down.
Are we done?
So I don't know if you can't hear me. I guess we are, but so like we have a sound now.
No.
Okay. So how can I put this on speaker on the phone? Instead of using the headphones. Any idea? Anybody?
Well, you sound good now.
Okay.
That sounds good.
So that was his thing, is he killed a guy escaping from Rocky View jail, and that's how he got there. And that he had a problem with one of probably the most dangerous prison gangs in the federal prison system that started in the state. And the rumor was, he told me the whole story, that he had some issues when they got resolved. Those guys wanted,
You're going out
wanted
again.
to get down.
You're going out again.
How can I get the speaker away?
I wish I could be more help.
Yeah, right? You should be. Audio. John, hold on, I think I got something here. What about that? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Now
Let's
I got to try to get back to the picture. So how do I go? Automatically adjust mic volume.
You can't see me?
I'm getting back. Listen, brother, I just navigated that like a movie star kid. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just did that. I took the
Yes.
headphones out.
Yeah.
The speaker. Listen, that right there was a monumental move I just made right there with technology.
I gotta set you up.
Yeah, so that was, that's
Yeah,
Kessler.
I can hear you good.
So I remember Kessler, when the captain came over and talked to Kessler one time and said, hey, what's up, Casper? And Kessler's like, oh, I know the guy Casper. He died a long time ago. But they called him Casper because of the Casper killings in Atlanta Penitentiary, where guys that were cooperating were getting murdered. They had from what I heard, I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know how true this is, but they had congressional hearings. They closed the place down.
That's right.
They put Kessler on trial for a couple of them, and he beat them. So that is another, facet of what he was known for. Another.
So allegedly in Atlanta, somebody put a sheet over their head and killed people, right?
And they called him the Casper killings. That's right.
Casper, the ghost.
The Casper the ghost, and then so the Captain Thomas. You remember Captain Thomas? He was the captain when we were there. He said, hey, what's up,
Black
Casper?
guy?
He was, hey, what's
Black
up?
or white?
Oh, yeah. But he said to Kessler, hey, what's up, Casper? And he went, oh, Casper, yeah, I know that guy. He died a long time ago. So trying to kind of diminish and curtail, his culpability and all that. So that was him.
There's a guy here that's asking you if you've got a death head on the right side of your head.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So
on the left
trying
side.
To figure out
Can you see it? What side is it on? That side?
Left side.
Left side.
Yeah.
That's me.
I remember it. Okay. Well, go ahead. Yeah. So, but that was like a father to you, really, right?
Well, I mean, I would never diminish or curtail my father's role of being my father because my father.
I hear you. I hear you.
So,
yeah.
And that, nobody could ever fill them shoes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, that's the greatest guy that ever walked the planet. So, but Kessler was just a dear friend to me, a mentor. Dear friend to me. I'm not the guy that needed a mentor, but I'm glad I had him in my life. You know what I'm saying? He taught me what was right and wrong. In the joint.
Yeah. Okay, so your speakers are going down a little bit again.
Okay, so
there you go.
See. That's all the way. I got it all the way up now.
Okay, so yeah, I can hear you good. Ask John. I was right? Yeah, you were right for sure. That's guy. So okay, so what do you what's the this is like the stuff the gore stuff. What do you think is the most serious or the most violent thing you've seen in prison?
So do you remember when Guam Jimmy got murdered? Was you there when Guam Jimmy got murdered? That was pretty brutal. Because what happened was after they murdered him and they butchered him, I don't know why, for some strange reason, the cops were shooting from the towers. If you remember correctly, they were booting the guy in the head after he was already dead and stabbed like 30 times.
Okay, wait. That's not the one with Dana, right?
No, Dana stabbed. That was Larry and Eli. Dana and Eli were probably two of the most dangerous guys in the prison.
Absolutely.
So that was Larry. That was another Hawaiian. What I'm talking about is Guam Jimmy. They got jumped by two guys that was in a Hispanic gang. And on the yard. It was over a store bill because Guam Jimmy had a store.
Oh, that was over like 3 books of stamps, right?
Exactly. $15.
Hey, he came out and it was the first shot got that guy. He was out on the first shot to the chest.
It was over. And then they started booting him afterwards. It was like the craziest thing, but that was pretty gory.
Okay, so then I go to the hole and I'm with those dudes and they start hitting each other. There was actually 3 of them got locked up.
Okay.
So then one of them, they tried to kill the other one in the shoe. I mean, took a razor blade to his face. They just, oh man, that was some shit, those dudes.
Fun times in the shoe, you know what I mean?
Oh man, that's the worst.
Another day at Leavenworth.
So I did a special for Morgan Freeman's production company about Leavenworth. And there was you know who else is going to be on there? Sneaky Pete.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
They picked a guard. I did a story about Leavenworth and a lot
the
of
cop. You're talking about the cop, right?
Yes. So a lot of the staff reached out to me.
Sure.
And Yeah. So I was doing prison consult. So I wasn't just and then doing some legal assistance. It was too much, and I
Right.
wasn't really ready for it. My dad was dying, but there's
Right.
a lot of people that are going to reach out to you about that. I'm going to well,
They should.
there's a lot of people you're going to
They
yeah
should.
no
I
a
mean,
lot of people
I'm ready for it.
a
I'm
lot
ready for them, and I mean, I don't think there's a better
yeah
guy that can navigate them through a situation they're going to go through.
yeah. So did you know Billy Italiano? That's somebody's asking.
You know what? I don't know if I know Billy specifically. Of course, the name sounds familiar, but what I do want to mention is there's a guy that writes for a political column, or I think it's his paper. He actually owns the paper. I'm not sure if he does or not, but it's the Rooster. And I had an interview with a guy named DJ last night. Sweetheart, great guy. They got a lot of things, political corruption going on in Ohio. This guy, householder, just got 20 years. A company paid $230 million to get off the hook with the government. So, and how many books of stamps is 230 million? You know. Anyway, we'll figure it out later.
You got me
So
there.
look, so he did an interview with me last night from the Rooster, and he was a really good guy. I kind of want to give him an honorable mention. He was really good with me, and I wanted to mention him on your show tonight. So
Sure. Okay.
good guy, really good guy.
Nice. Okay. God, I just gelled that. I had the question for you too, and I just lost it. Somebody said,
Yeah.
Rob, it was a good interview, and I just lost it. I was like,
Great interview until you told me it was a good interview. Yeah. Right. The guy hit about 675 field goals until you said he hit 675 field goals.
Right. Johnny Bart was over. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, really for me that, a turning point in my bid was that I started to learn, Rob. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to prison, I was remarkably so, and probably not many people know this, I was the smartest guy in the world,
Right.
And I realized how stupid I was when I really started learning. So, I mean, that learning was like probably the springboard to who I am today. You know what I'm saying? And, learning in prison, reading, writing. I went to school. I studied Spanish. I'm self-taught in Spanish.
Did you in Leavenworth? Did you start in Leavenworth?
No, that Paulie Martin kind of planted that seed, but no. That was Paulie Martin's work over there, but he was inspirational in me learning Spanish,
Yeah. So Leavenworth, I mean, I wouldn't have done it anyway, but the educational program was lacking as far as I remember.
Yeah, we didn't really have these kids don't understand now. We had nothing over there when it came to that type of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah. Rumor has a book is it to be released. Yeah, so the people asked about that all the time, and I said, but the Butner complex, because I had to go there because of cancer. I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. They were focused on education at that place. They were Somebody's asking, how's Beasley? Does that mean anything to you?
Beasley's good. I haven't spoke with anybody, but Beasley's good.
Okay. Oh, that means
I'm just getting here. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't made it. Talk to anybody, really anybody. So. Right. Getting out of here an hour a day here, hour a day there, and as it happens, it'll happen. I guess it'll happen organically.
When do you get more time out?
So I'll be starting work Monday. So I mean, but I'll be working. So we'll figure it out when we figure it out. Right now, I'm just enjoying it.
Do you know what you're going to do as far as work on the street?
So I'm working for my friend's flooring company, JFL Tile, John Bonapanti's place, JSL Tile, and he's from Burlington. He's amazing. Guy's he's a million times harder worker than me. I know that, and he's he works magic with floors. If anybody needs any flooring work, JSL Tile in Burlington.
What's the worst prison job you had?
Worst prison?
Yeah, prison job you've had in prison.
The worst job I ever had in prison? I don't know. I used to clean blood. I took a course to clean blood, if that shit and blood, but, whatever. I do anything. I don't care. I'm a professional orderly. I got along great with the staff after I started having some time in, you know what I'm saying? And, I got treated really good in these places. So, the staff has been amazing with me, because I'm really not into anything. And if I am, I keep it down low. And, they know I got a million years in prison, you know what I'm saying? And they know I know how to move. And, I'm respectful to people.
And
so, my mother and father died. So the only thing I try to do every day is to make them proud every day from their resting place, to look down and say, oh, yeah, that's nice, Yes, ma'am. No, sir. I just try to be.
Both your parents, both.
What's
Okay,
that?
so I didn't know both your parents passed.
Yeah, both of them
Your
are
parents,
dead. Yeah.
you're both passed.
Both my parents are dead, and my
I didn't
brother
realize that.
Ronnie's dead. Yeah. That's part of doing a bid.
And you had what? You have two more siblings? You have
I
another
got
two
one
siblings?
older brother. My brother's
two
named
siblings?
Charlie. He's he's a great guy. He looks phenomenal. He's engaged to somebody he loves. Debbie, she's a great person, and they're happy. I'm saying, it's a controversial thing, I guess. Some people are upset about it, but hey, listen. At this point in your life, all you got to do is just be true to yourself and fight for your own happiness. Just like jail's a fight every day. Every day's a fight. No matter what form the fight takes, you got to fight it. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you do in life, some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it. What are you going to do about it? Just worry about, to thine own self be true. That's about the only standard you can live by. For me, that's how I live anyway. I don't care what anybody has to say.
Right. I hear you. So real quick, Big Dog, I don't know if you're talking about the Cash App for Johnny. Just make sure you make a note for Johnny. And it's Hartford Holdings, and I'd send it to him. If that's what you're still talking about, I think it is. Grind, I hope you're doing well too. That's a person that she's been following me for a long time. Okay. She's a great person. Anyway, Rob, I need to ask Johnny. Okay, Rob, I need to ask Johnny. Ask what? I'm trying to figure out where you at. Say it again, Rob. Hartford, Hartford. That's one word. And holdings, like real estate holdings. HOLDINGS. That's hard.
You made it hard, Rob.
Yeah. I'm good looking out. No problem, Al. Okay, so where?
And thank you. Anybody that sent the money, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just make sure you put a notation. I'll remember him.
Let me work for it. Hire me as a prison consultant with
yeah, there you go.
School. Bobby Ida.
I see I'm here marching, got no tapes. Okay, I have no clue what a joke is. I still have, oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, anyway, Johnny, you were in JB unit at Devon's, correct? I remember.
Yes.
Emilio F.
Yeah, I remember Emilio. How's he doing? Tell him I said what's up. Hi, Emilio. How you doing, pal?
Okay. All right. Yeah, so
he was there when I just first started learning Spanish. He's Italian, dude.
How was that spot?
I mean, so just like, life gives you perspective all the time. And it's always interesting for me. We can only live life going forward and only understand it in reverse, right? So picture if somebody told you to get into a car and let this car go wherever it takes you. You'd never get in it, right? You got to have a destination, got to know where you're going. But that's how we live life. We don't know where we're going. Not anything can happen. So we're in a car with no destination. Nobody knows anything. So I was there with a guy. He was a Mongol, Mike, good dude. And we were there with this guy, Trey. He was a pagan, another good dude. So Trey was there going to get shoulder surgery from Fort Dix. I know him from Fort Dix. But he started to get the stuff under his eye. Long story short, he got cancer. And I remember my boss calling me and Mike down there to go say goodbye to him. And we went to this place called PA. It's where you go to die. It's down in the basement, cold, dingy. It's where you go to die. There's like 6 beds down there. If you're down there, with the exception of having a bad infection that you can get over, you're dead. It's over. It's the end of the trail down there. So I remember going in there, and me and Mike, he wanted us to say goodbye. He took us down there. We didn't know what was going on. And then when we got to the door, because we were guys in bike clubs, and he was in a bike club. It was nice of the guy to do that, And he said, go in there and say goodbye to the guy. You don't have long to live. So I remember going into the room. I led the way. And I was like, yeah, there's nobody in here. So I was looking, I was like, hey, there's nobody. Then I heard something. I heard, like somebody moaning. And I looked closer, and it was just like a sheet with this guy that was just under this sheet that was, he's about 70 pounds. And
Wow.
he didn't understand anything we were saying. He just moaned. And it just put everything in perspective, because we all got egos and we all think we're the best, and whatever I wear is better than what you wear, or whatever I do is better than what you do. I'm tougher than you. We get caught up in a lot of these things that are pretty much meaningless in life until they mean something. I'm saying, and then when they mean something, they mean something. Okay, I get it. But, that type of situation, we got 3 guys in 3 different motorcycle clubs.
Right.
And, your heart just bleeds for this because that could be you. It's a 1 out of 3 chance that you're in that bed, right?
Yeah.
So it just put everything in perspective for me, man. It was, it was like a real deep experience for me. And the guy died shortly thereafter. So that was one instance. But get.
No, I was in Butner Hospital, and I was on the 4th floor. So the higher up you go, you don't want to go to the 5th floor. You know what I mean? That's
right.
Like where everybody goes to die.
Yeah. And you know where the prohibited areas are.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you something. I saw a lot of people.
Vicious.
I was there.
They've
I was
come
there almost.
On the computer every day. This guy died. That guy died. They're having a memorial service for this guy. Memorial service for that guy. That's terrible.
That's right.
Horrible. That's why you never know if you're gonna make it out of a bid.
That's right. And you talk about that one guy from Guam or whatever. A couple books of stamps. That's terrible.
It can happen. These things happen.
Yeah.
But getting sick was always my biggest concern. Always
getting stuck. Yeah. Okay. So, how many prisons you went to altogether?
This is my. I'm saying this one. I'm out.
You're not there no more.
My last one was my 12th one, so I wrapped up at RDAP at Lewisburg at the camp.
And how long were you there for?
I was there about 13 months.
How many camps total were you at?
So I was at Schuylkill Camp, Berlin Camp, and Lewisburg Camp. So 3 camps.
Okay.
And, I was only at 2 penitentiaries. I was at Leavenworth for 4 years, and then went down to Petersburg, got a disciplinary back to the penitentiary. I went to Lee County, and I was at Lee County for 3 years. So I was at Penns for 7 years. And then mediums, lows, camps.
Were you at Lee with Tony Adams?
Yeah, I was at Tony Adams. Yeah, he was at Leavenworth and Lee. Yeah, Tony's my guy, man.
Were you there when they did whatever they did to that one guy? Did they kill him, or I don't know if they killed him or?
Well, so what happened was, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. So this guy comes there. I'm in the hole. I got into a wreck with some dude about seating arrangements in the chow hall, and if you can see through that one, you know what that was about. Yeah. So I was in the box, and guys started funneling in the box. Guys come in, guys go, and they were like, "Oh, there's this guy on the yacht. He's a great guy. He knows all about the stuff and this religion, this ancient religion. He's really knowledgeable and all this thing, And we come to find out that he was somebody's girlfriend in another joint. You know what I'm saying? Somebody came there and gave him this news. And I was like, nah, that can't be. You know what I'm saying? So, there goes vetting a person. You know what I'm saying? It's a small system. If you're a shitbag somewhere, you got something and here's the thing. The thing with the guy is if he was who he was when he came to when he came to Lee County and he was the same as he was before, nobody would have had a problem with him. But he came professing he was something else.
Yeah.
And then people found out what he really was, and they fucking beat the shit out of him. So funny story about that is they didn't want me to be out on the yard because I just got out of the hole at that time. So this issue had progressed, and I just got out of the box, and they were like, stay in the unit. If worse comes to worse, hold the cells down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever, So I wasn't mad about it, So let them go handle their business. They're the one that let this guy around. So about two moves went by and nothing happened. So I went to this old guy from, you remember Terry Arthur?
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever hear anything about him later?
No.
Okay,
No.
anyway. So we'll get to that later. I'm not sure about anything, so I'm not going to talk out of school. So Terry Arthur said to me, he's a funny guy. Terry Arthur said, God damn it, Johnny. I said, Terry, what the hell's going on? He goes, I think they kissed and made up. I don't know. So there was this dude there that was a sack dude that ended up becoming an arm, right? And I remember, hey, I told him, yo, you got to come outside. I got to tell you something, man. You got to come in the morning. Where's that child time? This was before that shit happened. And the kid was actually sitting at the table. He wasn't hip to what was going to happen to him. You know what I'm saying? So Case was sitting there saying, Johnny, what's going on? We got a problem with these guys. We got a problem with these guys. What's going on? That's the way he talked, you know? And I was like, yeah, Case, hold on. Well, I want to know what's going on, Johnny. Case, let's go have a cigarette. You know, you have your cigarette. I'm going to tell you what's going on. So we go outside. He goes, God damn it, Johnny, what's going on? So he takes a big drag of his cigarette, lets it out. And I'm like, yo, you know that dude? He was somebody's girlfriend in, Florence, Colorado. He went, of all the things I thought you were going to tell me this morning, Johnny, that was the last thing. So, we laughed to keep from crying. That's, what this prison thing is all about. We laughed to keep from crying, and that was a hilarious. The way he did it, I'll never forget. It was hilarious. And then, guys ended up, getting time. Guys ended up going to hole for a year. Guys ended up getting, beat to a pulp. And, another day in the pen.
Yeah, sure.
How you doing now?
Yeah. Do you remember a guy named Mike the Bike from 3rd Street?
Mike the Bike from 3rd Street. I probably do. I'm saying, it's been 7 billion years. You know what I'm saying? If I met you before and we hollered at each other, how you doing, Mike? How's everything?
Right. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so look, this is what I'm going to do. We've been on an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm dragging you down. I want to have you come back on next week.
Yeah, we'll make a time, Rob. I'm at your disposal, pal.
That's what I want to do. Yeah. So, because it is Friday night.
Yeah.
I do have. I know somebody else's show's going on right now. I got something.
Yeah.
Thing about it. Another guy.
It was great talking to you. It was a pleasure to be on, man. And whatever we can do going forward, we'll do. And.
Oh yeah, no, and look at and I'm gonna have. There's 1,000 things I'm gonna ask you. And,
sure.
And I mean,
like
there's still 1,000 things left. So I mean,
there's gonna be unhappy people out there. I get it. That's what happens. People get unhappy sometimes. Right. Can't please everybody all the time.
I hear you.
And I wish I could.
But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm going to tell you, Johnny, just that you reached out to me as soon as you got out, like you did. You've been an inspiration to me already, bro. For real.
Thank you.
You have. Yeah. So we'll thanks, Jason. He said a great interview. I appreciate it, but he'll be back on here within a week.
Yeah, we'll come back. After
okay.
they start giving you all the thumbs down, you won't call me back. But anyway,
No. You can hold the story. Plus, you know how to tell a story. So.
That's a gift from my father.
Hey, the guy I had last night, I did time with this Mike. He's really cool, really good dude, and he's really inspirational. Last night, it was his birthday, and he pounds a big drink and takes off on a motorcycle. I'm like, oh, wrong message.
Listen, everybody does their own thing. Listen, do your own thing. God bless you. Have fun, whatever it is.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna end it. Take care.
Listen, I love you to death.
All right.
So stay on the line with me, Rob, when you